Finally, a new episode of the E28 build. It's been a week absence due to sickness and other stuff, so I'm sorry for that. It was supposed to be on the last Thursday, a new episode, but we have to keep it on for this one. So I hope you don't get too disappointed, but I'll try to make it up for you. Today, like I said last time, we're going to replace the dash. We're going to start putting the engine back together and the doors will come on the car. That is the main goal for today. So without further ado, let's start working. Okay, so now the next mission is to put the engine block onto the engine stand. And to do so, the most easy way to do so is to remove this interface and put it on to the back of the block instead of lifting up the block in the air. So to do so, I also had the threaded bars, like I don't know what it's called in English, but it's like yeah. So we can prepare 4 of those with the right distance to the plate, the base plate, and in that way we can also put the flywheel and everything on when we come to that later on. So yeah, so first take this out, remove the pin and remove the base plate like this. Then it's to see that we have the right setup to make it fit. And I'm using the top 2 holes, which is M8 dimension, and the lower 2, which is M10. Therefore I have M10 and M8. So I will put the M8 in those and the M10 in those. And I will adjust the length so they will fit perfectly to make sure that we have a decent distance between. The problem is if you put this one too close to this one, it will be hard to reach the flywheel and everything. So I'll just make sure I cut these in the right length and then continue. So according to my calculations, 15 centimeters will be perfect to make a good fit. So I'll cut 2 of the M10 and 2 of the M8 in that dimension. Okay, so now I have 4 equally long, well cut, and also smoothen the ends so the thread is okay to put a knot on. So the M8, I'll put them on the top 2 holes here. You can choose other holes if you want to, but this is the ones I prefer. I've done this in the past, and well, it's just by like reference for me to use those. Anyway, 2 of those, and then you have the M10. I put them in the back of the lower parts, the 2 lower holes here. And to make the base plate come out a little bit, I use also this one. It's like it's meant to be used if you want to join 2 of those together. It's threaded right through. So I put this one on, yeah, like this, until the thread comes through. And I can use this one here until I see the thread is coming on the other side. I'll take this one here. Okay, since they are M10, I can just put them on top of the M8s like that. And since the attachments here, it's like a pipe, but they're a lot bigger than the M10 and the M8. So I use a body knot. It's like a body washer, like so like this one, with a small hole but a big plate. mount is on, and now it's supposed to, we will lift it up and put it in the engine stand. I put some grease inside as well, so we have a better smooth rotation later on. So it's time to get the afternoon practice, the workout. Yep, there it is. So now it should be easy to rotate it and to work with it in the way you like, to check the cylinder barrels or the crankshaft assembly and everything. And when you find the angle you like, you can easily lock it with a pin so it doesn't continue to rotate for you. Yeah. Okay, easy. Okay, so now I measured all the things here, all the surfaces for the bearings, and everything is fine. The surfaces are smooth and they will be perfect with a new bearing set. So next up is to order a set of bearings for the rods and for the crank. And also the camshaft looks perfect. There is no wear, no nothing. So it will work for this engine. And yeah, I'll order the necessary additional parts and then it's ready to go. So everything looks good. Seals, gaskets and bearings. That's what we need. And then put it back into the engine. So what's next in the build? Well, as you know, the block is now in the engine stand. I checked also the camshaft, the crankshaft. Bearings are now ordered, so we will get those. I'll also order the complete seal kit for the engine, cylinder head gasket, oil pan gaskets, all the bushings and everything. So I will show you how to go through the cylinder head in the upcoming steps of the engine, and I will also show you how to put everything back together with the torquing and everything of it, what to think about, tension chain, the timing chain, sorry, and everything. So first, to get the engine in a good and clean state, I will also grind the cylinder barrels using this special tool with the screwdriver and everything, so you will clean them up and make sure that there is no scratches, no old rust or anything inside. And to clean the surfaces, you need to have a tight seal fit. Yeah, I use this grinder. It's like a filt with a Scotch-Brite or something like that, you can call it, and to really rub the surfaces clean. And by doing so, you will get rid of all the soot and everything. And you see, it's very smooth, and you can feel already there is no bad surfaces or anything sticking up. So you get a smooth surface, and the cylinder head seal will tight perfectly. So I'll go through it. And also, of course, since it's a build of an engine which will look stunning, we need to paint it outside. So one step on the way is to actually clean everything, clean the surfaces and everything, and put them paint on to make it sure it's black and look like it was straight out of the factory. All right, let's go to it. Okay, so the first thing you want to do before you start doing any of this is to clean the surfaces the best way you can. I use like a detergent, which is like, it's not a brake cleaner, it's a little bit more sticky, it lasts longer. So just spray it on to get the grease and everything off first. Could be a good idea to do that. Let it sit for a while, not so long, but it's quite fast working, and you can do some testing in some areas to see it's really coming along. And I can see already the engine, this engine especially, was not that dirty. So we'll start just to get the grease out of the place to get the Scotch-Brite better and more efficient when you start using it. Okay, now we start rubbing in one end. Yeah, already I can see getting brighter, getting smoother. Looks fine. So you get all those small particles like rust and everything I mean, the cylinder block has been lying around in a warehouse for some time, so it's inevitable that you get some kind of rust on it, on this clean metal surfaces. So to make sure you don't have any water leaks or oil leaks later on when you put the engine together, it's a good advice to do so. I don't know if it's visible or not, but I guess you can see already if you compare this end to this end. It's quite quick, and it doesn't need to be harder than that. And you can feel with a finger. That's the best inspection tool you actually have to make sure it feels good and you cannot feel any grooves or anything sticking up. So I'll just continue doing the rest and I'll show you guys the final result. Okay, now we're done. I took the whole surface here, and I can feel already there is absolutely nothing left, and it feels amazing. So now some brake cleaner to wipe it off so there is no metal dust or anything still. Yeah, surface is perfect, shiny, smooth, and there is nothing left to grind. And this is a very gentle kind of it's not a sandpaper and doesn't do any harm to the metal itself. It just removes what's leftovers from the old gasket and everything. So the surface is perfect. What we will do next is to grind the cylinder inside. So we make sure that there is no rust left also here, because I can see there is some traces of surface rust. Because it's, like I said, it's been lying around in a warehouse, which makes the humidity in the air, surrounding air, some damage to the metal, the bare metal. Okay, so I'll prepare the tools and I'll let you see what I'm using. Okay, so next step is to clean the cylinder barrels to make sure there is no dirt or anything that could cause any scratches when we do the grinding later on. So I use the same detergent which I use primarily, the one which is not brake cleaner. Why I do that is because I have a chance to work with it without it being like evaporating and disappearing. So this is just to make sure that there's no sand or anything like that that could cause damage to the cylinder and also to the stones in the grinding tool. Because if you have a grinding tool which is not smooth enough, you will have scratches from that one instead. So you do want to check that there is clean and nice surfaces to work with. So we've come to the point where it's time to grind the cylinder barrels, and you're using a tool like this. It's a 3-stone grinder. You put it on the electrical power driller, and you lubricate with some motor oil or some thick oil, maybe for gearbox or something. As far as I know and been taught, it's to use the thickest oil possible, and then run it at the low speed, up and down carefully. Make sure to lubricate once in a while, and just make sure that the surface is coming along nicely. So that's what I'm going to do now. So first we compress this tool so we can fit them inside the cylinder like that. Then we lubricate some and start running. This is just as exciting as watching paint dry. So I will speed things up and let you know the results instead. I think that's more interesting to see. Now we're done with the grinding of the cylinders. Now we're gonna see. Here it is, the cylinder block, and if we take a look inside, you can see the surface is really smooth and looks good. There might be some, I mean, you can see signs of the wear or the something like that, but it's nothing. You cannot feel the difference with your finger, and if you cannot feel it with your finger, it's quite safe, because the finger is maybe the most careful instrument you have. So it's really nice surface now for starting up, and should be careful the first few hundred kilometers or 1,000 kilometers, maybe, I don't know, at least to break everything in, so you don't over if you're gonna do this engine all over and really make it look outstanding, you really need to do some painting. And it's quite easy, actually. There is paint supposed to be on the engine, which withstand the engine heat and the oil and everything that might come on it. And I mean, it's very, very simple. I'll show you how it's done. It's done like this. As you can see, it's quite simple. It's practically doing itself. But yeah, so now the fun begins. Putting the stuff back together, new seals, new everything. It's time to put the crankshaft back in the engine block, and by doing so, we're going to use this bearing holders, and all of those are numbered. In the top, each one has a number 1 to 7, which means they do have a unique place on the engine block. You cannot mix them up because they are grinded together with the block to make the bearing fit. So these are not possible to buy as a spare part from BMW. You need to buy the complete engine block in that case, and you don't want to do that. So when you take a car engine like this into pieces, be sure to keep all the parts and mark them well, so you don't mess them up later on. That will be a problem, I can tell you, if you do so. So the crank has been cleaned, measured, and everything should be okay. The bearings have arrived. This is the main bearings for the crank. I also have the piston rod bearings for the crankshafts, or for the piston shafts. I forgot the name. It'll come, I promise. So anyway, these are for the main crank, so I'll put this in, and I'll show you how it's done. To do so, I mean, this engine will be in the engine stand for maybe a few weeks, maybe up to a month, before I crank it round and start it up. So that means we're going to use this assembly glue lube to grease the bearings. You can use engine oil as well to make sure that you have a lubricated surface when you put everything back in place. But since I'm not going to start this engine up in the near future, it means we have to make sure that the lubricant we put on here is actually still there when I'm doing it. So that's why I'm using this one, and this will stick, it will last, and it will be here even if I wait for 6 months to start up the engine. So that's why we use this assembly lube for bearings. Never use anything else. First up, clean the surfaces where the bearings supposed to go in, to make sure you don't have any grease or anything, any dirt underneath them, because you need to have the tolerances on the right side, so it should be fine. I just cleaned all the holes as well for the bolts that attach everything, to make sure that it's not full of liquids or anything, because always remember to clean any hole where you should pull a bolt inside, because if you don't, there's a risk there will be oil or something inside, and you will compress that oil when you force the bolt inside, and you will crack the engine block, and that is non-reversible damage. It's impossible to get that, well, Some people may be able to weld something, but you're unable to get it as it was from the beginning, trust me. So it's always better to put the time and effort in cleaning instead of in welding. That's pretty much my recommendation, at least. You're free to do as you please, but trust me, it's not fun to do it the other way. Anyway, you can see also the bearings, they look different. There's one set of bearings which has this edge, and it's supposed to go on the center because it also prevents, it has a bearing on the side, you can say, so it prevents the crankshaft from moving forward and back. So this one is centering the crank and it's in the middle. And you can see also there is one little tab on one side, and this tab is actually going into the groove and making the bearing, avoiding the bearing to start rotating, follow the crank around. So this is how you do it. You put them in place. You take the next one. This one doesn't have the bearing surface on the side. It's just supposed to be in the middle. So that's how you do it. Make sure you have an even fit, that it's lining up to the surface on each side. Yeah, so I'll speed things up so you don't have to watch this paint dry. Okay, now they're all in place. Okay, now they're all in place. So we are supposed to put some lubrication on the bearings. So using this lube, I put some small amounts on this brush, and I put some inside here. It doesn't take a lot since it's tight surface and it's shiny surface. This is quite good, this stuff, because it's like I said, it's sticky and it will last here until it's time to start up the engine in a few weeks. If I'm not using this but engine oil instead, I would be forced to do this quite soon, because engine oil, it doesn't stick like this. It's doing the same job, but it could be that the engine oil is leaving its place, and you will have metal on metal in the bearings, and that will cause the engine to fail. Could be some scratches or some small poor surfaces which will end up causing damage in the long run. So please invest a little bit extra. It's about €20, $20, 200 SEK for this kind of, and I'm quite sure this will last my lifetime, unless I do this every day, and I'm not planning to do so. Okay, now it's done. It's time to put the crank in place. The rear of the engine, the front of the engine. The timing chain sprocket is on the front, so it should be an easy way to identify. Yeah, so here it goes. It's the crank. Make sure you don't have the fingers in between. You will notice if you do. There. It's in place. There's no play sideways. And you will also notice if you put it in the wrong way. If not now, you will notice later. So don't do that, okay? Next up is to put these overlays in place. So I'll prepare them, clean them up, put the new bearings inside, and I'll show you how to do and put them in the engine. I will replace the original bolts. The original bolts for this overlay is 10.9 M10 times, I guess it's 90, if I remember correctly. I'll put it in the video. And I'm replacing them for 12.9, the stronger one, and increasing the torque a little bit. So I'll put the specifications in the video and you will see. And the reason this one is no longer supplied by BMW, and I had this handy to get hold of, and that's why. That's the only reason. And many of you might think, okay, you're putting a stronger bolt, you need higher torque, yes, and maybe that's stressing out the threads in the engine block. No, they don't, because the engine block is too strong to take any damage from this, because you can use ARP bolts, this threaded bolts with the, for turbo engines and everything. So you can put a lot of stress into the engine block without having any damages. So this is peanuts, trust me. Okay, so I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna lubricate the crank instead of the bearing, because now I'm putting everything upside down. So I'm gonna do like this. Yeah, somewhat rich amount. When I come to the center piece here, it's also important to lube on the side of the crank, because this bearing is the one which also is like controlling the crank's side position, or the longitude position of the inside the engine. So I'm putting this on. I don't know if I'm doing it too much or not. You can give me some advice in the comment section, because this is nothing I do every day. Trust me, pretty much the first time. So I'm learning by doing. And here we are. This is the bearing with the side guidings, and you can see on this as well, you have the fitment for this bearing. And on top there is a number stamped, number 4. And what direction will it be? Yeah, well, if you look to the engine, there is a this groove here. You can see this small one on the side should be the opposite of the one you have in the block. So if you put this one in like this, it will fit into this groove, and the groove on the engine side is towards me, and there is nothing up there, so it should be on the opposite side. So number 4 should be like this. And I put it in. Smooth. I'm gonna do the rest. Okay, I was wrong, I admit it. This groove should be on the same side like the one in the engine, at least here. But still they are on the opposite side, so they will not let the other one rotate through the first one. So yeah, because I couldn't get it to fit in the right side position. So yeah, sorry about that. As I told you, I'm learning by doing. So this is quite obvious that this is the right way, and the opposite way was totally wrong. Now they're all in place, and everything is still possible to move very easily, which it should be. So what's up next is to torque these babies with 79 Newton meters. It's 65 if you're using the original bolts, but we're not. So therefore, it's 79. So let's see. There's one. And there's 2. Okay. We now have the new bearings in place, and it's fully torqued, and it should be possible to rotate without any difficulties, and it is. Very easily. I can rotate it with one hand using even a rubber glove, so it feels amazingly tight and well. This will be great, I can tell you. It will rotate at high RPMs and delivering a lot of power and torque, this baby. Off to the next. never. When the bearings are in place and everything looks fine, sorry, a bit of a cold staying with me like an old friend. Anyway, I realized when I look at the woodruff key in the front of the crank, as you can see, here is like a track where this one is supposed to be inside, and somebody before me had put the wrong one inside, forcing it in, making it a big nasty mark on the sprocket, even cracking the sprocket. I don't know if you can see, but it's cracked on top. It forced the sprocket to expand, and there was a crack in the metal. And if I feel with the finger, I can feel that it's elevated. It's higher on the crack than it is on the other surface. This will cause the engine to leak oil because the elevated surface will press up the gasket or the seal that will work towards this surface later on. So we need to order a new sprocket, a new woodruff key to put these parts in place. So it's another setback and another delay of the project. But anyway, it's better to find out now than later, because I mean, this is parts for peanuts compared to what it takes to do this in a later stage. So we will order these parts, and it will be maybe a week or so before we have them. But there's plenty of things to do in the meantime, so I hope it doesn't delay the project in all. Yeah, the engine is coming together nicely. Right now the next step is to put the pistons back in place, and that will be, yeah, it's a quite fast job to do, and I will show you guys, but that's the next episode. We will also get the sprocket for the chain. As you know, it was damaged up here in front, so that will be a new one. It's coming on, it's ordered, everything is in, should be on time. So that's the next episode. Apart from that, as you could see today, the doors came in, makes the car look a bit more complete. Small steps ahead, everything makes a difference. And apart from that, we also have the leather dash. As you see, it's in place. It looks amazing, and it follows the exact stitching and everything as it should. So it's in place, it's put in place, and everything is screwed back in order. So the next step is to adjust all the doors, make sure they actually sit where they're supposed to and they align nicely, so we can put the Alpina stripe on the outside. You who know what the Alpina stripe looks like can also understand that it's quite impossible to adjust the doors afterwards, because then the stripe will be totally misaligned. So that's something we need to take care of and make a good job and carefully verify before we end it. So by saying that much, this is the end of this episode, and I hope you enjoyed. You saw a bit of the engine assembly, you saw a bit of the car coming back together, and in the next episode there will be even more, I promise you. And there's been a week gap now due to sickness and stuff like that, but we will keep the momentum, and hopefully in the next episode I will show you some trimming and some detailing, small stuff coming back together, and not the least, the wheels. Okay? See you next time.